So this is a good story. This is true. So I was sitting at home, and usually when people try and find me, they get my wife's cell phone because it's the first one on the cell phone bill, and it's all in my name. So I see this call from California, and I'm like, and normally I don't answer them, and it's her phone. I'm like, who's calling my wife? Because that is me. So I answer it, and this lady says, hey, is Commander Fravor there? And I go, who's calling? And she goes, well, I'd like to talk to Commander Fravor. I go, who's calling? And she says, hi, I'm a 79-year-old woman, and I would just like to tell him my story. I go, well, you're talking to him. And she goes, I've never in my life told anyone this. She goes, I grew up, my dad was in the Navy. She goes, he was stationed in Rhode Island at first when she was a child. She said we were walking, her and her mom were walking on the beach, and they saw these weird lights. So that kind of got her into that, UFOs. She goes, a few years later, they had moved to San Francisco. So I imagine Treasure Island, because at her age, it would have been, probably in the 50s. She said her dad was working as a Navy liaison to the agency. And he came home one day and he had a telegram in his hand. And she goes, for some reason, he let me read it. She's telling me this story. And I said, well, what did it say? She says it basically said, hey, unidentified objects going in and out of the water, and it had a latitude and longitude in it. And he looked at her, she goes, and I'm a child, and I always remember this. She says, he looked at me and said, we get these all the time, and it's always in the same area. And I go, of course, well, you got the telegram? She goes, of course not. He had to take it back to work. I said, you don't have to remember that latitude, longitude. She said, no. She goes, but you seem to be so credible and believable. She goes, I wanted to tell someone the story that I've never told anyone in my life. So that's what you're starting to see is people that, very credible. They're not crazy. They're not making stuff up, but they're coming out and going, hey, I've had these experiences. And I've got a lot of that from over the last 2 years where people just find my email and send me stuff saying, hey, this happened to me, or I saw this.